Hamas is a political organization. They do not reflect the majority of the Palestinians. And don't be surprised if Israel takes whatever action is necessary to defend herself. And it's going to be ugly for a while. But it's tough. It's tough. And I hope, and pretty confident, the United States will stand squarely with Israel.
Our 43rd president, President George W. Bush, we haven't heard a lot from him lately. Watch this amazing interview, what his view is on what's happening in Gaza and what Israel has to do. God bless the president, our 43rd, George W. Bush. Let's watch this together. Kindly subscribe to this channel so that a little bit of light will continue pushing away a lot of darkness.
While we're in this beautiful place, our hearts are in Israel. We saw clips of you rallying the nation after the worst terrorist strike on American soil. I wonder what were your thoughts when you heard that Israel was attacked by Hamas over the weekend?
My thoughts were that we need to support Israel. No ands, ifs, or buts. This was an unprovoked attack by terrorist people willing to kill innocent people to achieve an objective. Hamas is a political organization. They do not reflect the majority of the Palestinians. And don't be surprised if Israel takes whatever action is necessary to defend herself. And it's going to be ugly for a while. But it's tough. It's tough. And I hope, and pretty confident, the United States will stand squarely with Israel. You know, going in the neighborhoods of Gaza is going to be tough. And, you know, he's got a very seasoned military, but they just called up 300,000 reservists. Most of them probably can't fire a rifle. And to the extent they'd be put in harm's way, it's going to be awfully difficult on the prime minister. But he's got to do what he's got to do. I mean, these, you're dealing with cold-blooded killers. And you can make all kinds of excuses why they are, but they are. And his job is to protect this country. And anyway, we'll find out what he's made out of.
Among the countries on the axis of evil that you defined during your presidency was Iran. To what extent is Iran responsible for the...
I don't know. I don't get the intelligence anymore. Their stated objective is the destruction of Israel. That's what the leaders say. And in this world, you got to take what they say seriously. And Iran's been pretty good at using surrogate terrorist groups, Hezbollah being the key one, of course. And therefore, the idea of using somebody else to achieve their objective doesn't surprise me. Again, I'm kind of a hardliner on all this stuff, but I never thought we should try to accommodate Iran any way, shape, or form. I always felt the objective ought to be to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, to prevent a cataclysmic event in the Middle East. And these are the kind of people that if you show softness, they will take advantage of it. And we'll see. The United States needs to stand squarely with the president, with Netanyahu. And the administration started off on the right foot, it seems to me. Pretty bold statement, and that's good. And he's going to take some heat. You know, both parties have got isolationist tendencies. And, you know, we shouldn't get involved. You know, who cares? Well, we should. We should care. And
what does the immediate future look like for Israel, in your view?
Immediate future doesn't look very bright, particularly if you're on the Hamas side. But it's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be, look, it's a democracy, and in a democracy, the people's voices matter, and there's going to be a weariness. You watch, the world's going to be, okay, let's negotiate. You know, Israel's got to negotiate. They're not going to negotiate. These people have played their cards. They want to kill as many Israelis as they can, and negotiating with killers is not an option for the elected government of Israel. And so we're just going to have to remain steadfast, but it's not going to take long for people. That's gone on too long. Surely there's a way to settle this through negotiations. Both sides are guilty. My view is one side is guilty, and it's not Israel.
Well, that was an amazing presentation by our 43rd president, Mr. George W. Bush. For those of us that remember 9/11, for those of us that remember that day when over 3,000 innocent Americans were killed in cold blood, by the falling of the World Trade Center and then the crashing of the airplanes and then the Pentagon. It was the saddest day, at least in our times, for the United States of America. And he was the president at the time. And if you remember the way he stood on the rubble of the 9/11 and vowed to smoke him out. Read my lips, if you remember those words coming from George W. Bush. So he understands what our enemy is. He understands, he lived it, he experienced it. What it means to have an enemy that seeks your annihilation and what our response needs to be. So this was a very inspiring and a great response from George W. Bush the 43rd. You know, he has not been in the headlines a lot, and we really did not know where he stands. So we're very grateful to hear from him where he stands vis-a-vis Israel and the support of Israel and the reality on the ground. The reality is that Hamas is an enemy who wants to annihilate Israel. Nothing less than that. Not just Israel, but the whole West. And that is where the axis of evil, where it begins in Iran. And Iran uses its proxies, whether it's the Hezbollah, or whether it's the Houthis, or whether it's the Hamas. It is their proxies that are doing their dirty work for them. And here we are, almost 700 days later after the war began on October 7. The world, for whatever reason, has been buying into the narrative that October 8, Hamas is the victims and the Palestinians are the victims. But they totally negate to remember what happened on October 7. And they totally negate to remember of the 4,000 missiles that Hamas has been sending onto Israel on the years before October 7. And they forget to remember that in 2005, Israel evacuated all of Gaza and gave them an opportunity to build a state. They were screaming, we want statehood, statehood, statehood. Well, here's a chance. Here's a beautiful Riviera potential coast city that you could turn into your statehood. Go, make it happen. What did they do instead? They turned it into a terrorist country, a country of terrorism, with the whole subterranean underground tunnels, billions of dollars the world sent in to establish Gaza, to take care of the Palestinians that are there, the Gazans that are there. Where did the money go? The money went to an infrastructure that's subterranean, the whole tunnel system, which runs greater than the subway system in New York, all for one purpose only: to annihilate Israel. The world needs to realize and recognize that the war that Israel is fighting now is not just a war for Israel, it's a war for America, it's a war for democracy, and it's a war for the rest of the world. Because if we are not fighting this war and we allow the jihadists, these radical Islamists, to continue on their mission to annihilate Israel and the Jewish people, and to continue on their MO, that this is the caliphate, that this is what they want to do. They want to wipe out Israel, America, and all Western, and they want the whole world to be under Sharia law. This is their goal. Israel is impeding that. Israel is standing there and it's fighting your war. Recently, I heard a very interesting analysis trying to explain why America is supporting Israel and why Israel is so vital to America. And this analysis gave the analogy and saying that Israel is the greatest in espionage. The value of its espionage to America is more valuable than 5 CIAs. This is what he said. He said if Israel would not provide America with the intelligence that it's providing, the volume of intelligence that Israel provides America is the value of 5 CIAs. And I think he said each CIA is like $7 billion, $1 billion. I don't remember exact numbers. But if you add up to the $3 billion that America subsidizes Israel, that's a fraction of what they would have had to pay if they had to have 5 the amount of CIAs to be able to accomplish the espionage. So on a basic financial scoring board, Israel's providing America with intelligence the value of 5 CIAs. I just heard this comparison. I don't know its validity, but it sounds right, because Israel does have the best intelligence out there, and it shares it with America. Plus, if Israel is, God forbid, not in the Middle East, then America has no base of operations to hold back the jihadists, the radical Islamists, from taking over the world. So let the world appreciate what Israel is contributing. We are fighting your war. The least you can do is side with us, support us, both morally, spiritually, financially, in all areas. And when you hear the narrative that Israel is the aggressor, and people are just trying to paint Israel as the worst people as ever, be the one to defend Israel, because that is not who we are. We are a nation of love. We are a nation of peace. We are a nation who values life, who values peace. We are a nation who would do anything possible to save another person's life. We have demonstrated that over 77 years, not only in Israel, not only in a type of warfare, how we are so careful, and all of our surgical operations are done so precisely to prevent as many casualties as possible, even though we are risking our own soldiers to be fallen. But we do everything possible to prevent collateral damage and civilian casualties, not only in our own wars, but whenever there's a catastrophe, whenever there's a natural disaster throughout the world. Israel's one of the very first responders to set up triage and to set up hospitals off-site and to have rescue teams and to do whatever it can to help the nation regardless who they are. Israel is always there for them, because that is the Jewish mandate. That is the Israel mandate from God. Love life, support life, do everything you can for the living. And we are a religion of life. We want to live and let live and support live. And for the 77 years that Israel has been in existence, it has shown itself, all of its innovations, inventions, and all of its accomplishments in all areas of humanity, just beginning with agriculture, with academics, with electronics, with technology, with medicine, with travel, with communication, with art. Israel is at the cutting edge of all of these great accomplishments of the 21st century. And when it reaches some breakthrough, it shares it with the world. And the world is coming to gobble up. They're buying out Israeli innovation companies all the time because they value the investment that Israel has in humanity in the world. So let's side with Israel and with the right side of history, and let's pray to God that this war will finally come to an end. We'll bring home the hostages, and there'll be peace not only in Israel, there'll be peace in Gaza. We'll be able to free the local Gazans to be able to begin knowing what it's like to live a life with democracy and have a better education for the children, that instead of being a death cult, they'll start beginning to value life and value the opportunity that the 21st century that God has given us. God loves you. God bless you.